It's Ebro in the morning. It is Hot 97. Laura Styles, Rosenberg, and welcome to the program. NBA legend, yes, I said legend.
I think deservedly so.
Rick Fox.
Hey, wow, that's a lot of love. I appreciate that, man.
Light-skinned legend.
Yeah.
You should have also said NBA legend and notorious vajayjay slayer, Rick Fox.
Now, Mr. Fox, I'm going to give you your due respect because you've had amazing women in your life.
Yeah.
Yes, you have. Really, and do you want to start there, or do you want to start with the NBA?
Let's start there.
Ladies,
you guys can have the
Valentine's week, ladies.
Yeah, let's go right.
No, are you not? You're not remarried.
No, I'm single. So a couple days before Saturday.
So you, so he's putting it out there.
Yeah.
So
All-Star weekend.
How long?
Be helpful.
I'm sure you've had plenty of good All-Star weekends.
Yeah.
How long were you with the beautiful and talented Vanessa Williams?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, that was a good pick. That was I always say I joke I got a bad picker. But
why do you say
that? Because I used to think I was picking wrong, but at the end of the day, I think for the most part I was turning the ball over. So
you were screwing up.
Yeah, I was.
Is it because you light skinned and you've had your pick your whole life and you have too many choices and you keep effing it up?
Well, yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
I lived that life.
I'll go with that. I think just I had to grow up a lot. I had to grow up a lot too, and I've been doing that. So I'm a little better at it now. I had like a 5-year relationship and did it the right way for the first time.
Yeah, bro. I'm a little sick of you just throwing around that it's simple enough to just be light skinned, and that means you get the kind of chicks that Rick Fox has gotten.
No, it's not that simple.
No,
okay, good.
No,
and I'm also here to say that definitively, 100%, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you are the second best looking light skinned man in the room right now.
No question.
Fall back behind this man.
Anything else you want to tell Rick Fox while you're here? Because we know what you've said about LL Cool J. You want to keep going?
Hold on, I need some backstory.
It's gonna sound worse. It's gonna sound crazy. Okay. All right, no, but you said Vanessa Williams you didn't pick wrong. It obviously didn't end up working out. But talk about that. Why you think that was a good relationship?
We have a beautiful daughter, Sasha, and I learned a lot about really being a married man and what that looks like and what it should look like. It was in the middle of my NBA career, and chasing championships was the focal point for me, and so I didn't know how to balance being a husband and being a professional athlete. And I was a moody cat, man, and it was about getting those rings. And so I look back on it and I go, you know what, that was the best woman in my life. But you learn and you move and things move on, and she's gonna get married in July, so I'm happy for her.
Will you be there?
I haven't got the invitation yet. I don't know if I need to be showing up. But
you're not sure yet.
But
it really could go either way.
But we get along and we're great. And,
but it's probably the other guy, the new guy. He's probably
it's his day.
I don't want that good-looking guy in my wedding.
Yeah,
so big light skin. You know what I mean?
Are you proud of Vanessa's daughter, Lion Babe, who's she's starting to?
There you go.
Starting to get her career going.
Heck yeah, man.
And she spoke about you when she was here and that you guys had a very good relationship.
Yeah, Jillian and I was so proud to see her take off. And I just interviewed her for an After Dark TV special for NBA TV that comes on Tuesday. And she did a song called Jump So High or Jump High.
Jump High is a great song.
Right. I can't get it out of my head, which is a good thing for her. But she was on tour with The Roots. And now, Pharrell, they're going to have a record with Pharrell producing one of their tracks. And I remember when she was just playing the trumpet in the house, and now she's coming out from under a shadow of her mom, which is pretty daunting, you would think. Vanessa Williams' career has been pretty awesome herself, so now she's got her own thing going. So I'm really happy for her.
You've had a hell of a run. Yeah. And there have to be some
other. Over, man. It ain't over yet.
No, you're in the middle.
Okay,
you're in the middle of the run.
Good.
Well, let's talk about that run after you ask your question, because I want to ask him eventually. We'll get to it. Does he think he could get remarried?
It's a good question. We will get there, but I'm curious about. We all know Vanessa Williams, but I know beyond a shadow of a doubt you were on the Los Angeles Lakers in the heyday. There were other celebrities in Hollywood who were coming at you besides Vanessa Williams.
Well, I went at Vanessa.
Okay.
So Vanessa was
right.
she was the
one.
Yeah. I fell in love with her when I first landed in the coming to America from the Bahamas. I saw her back in 1984. I was like, if that's what America has to offer, I'm heading in that direction, and I'm never leaving. And so I told my college roommate that I was going to marry her one day without thinking I was disrespecting her husband. At the
You're
time.
talking about
I
Miss.
didn't even know
You're
she
talking
was
about
married.
Miss America.
Yeah.
Yes.
Time.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and so, but that was that's the impression she gave, the first impression she laid on me, and then
How
it
did, you
wasn't.
how did you first meet her? And how do you court Vanessa Williams?
I met her at the All-Star game in 1998, right here in New York.
All-Star.
Yeah, right here in New York, 1998. That's why I said.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Damn All-Star Weekend,
two of my
man.
longest relationships, 100%. Two of my longest relationships in my life started at the All-Star Weekend.
What was the other one?
In Phoenix, Liza Dushku. We were together for 5 years.
Eliza Dushku.
Yeah, Boston girl. Yeah, out of Boston.
Who's that? Who's like
actress.
She's an actress. Yeah, and
Another.
Yo, he tries to play it so humble too.
no, but hey, man, it's
Ouch.
it's-
Yeah.
But you know who Tyra Banks introduced me to?
Just Tyra Banks.
But you never smashed
Vanessa.
Tyra.
Huh?
You never
no,
smashed
no,
her.
no. She was just a friend for about a month.
What,
and-
just a month?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, we went on a date or two,
Okay.
and then she introduced me to Vanessa. I think if we would have stayed friends longer, we could have
Something could have.
progressed. But
They're
yeah,
showing
she
me
intro-
pictures of Liza.
Yeah, she.
You
Why
never,
are you
you never
talking?
seen Eliza Dushku?
I don't know. I've seen her, but I didn't. I don't
Put it all
name
together.
Put it together.
Yeah.
I probably think she's actually the actor, the person that she played in a movie.
I know it's very confusing for you. It's very hard for you.
So so then Vanessa and I met then, and then we hit it off about 8 months later. She came to my birthday party.
And are there any other known relationships of yours that that was out there? There are pictures online that they exist. We already know that we may be missing, or is that those the only name ones?
That's the only one.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Yeah.
What are the other ones that have been out there before? Come on.
Yo, why you doing? Look at
Because they're already out there.
Yeah,
If we
don't slow
Google,
down.
I got my man Googling right now. We're gonna find it either way.
So we might as well talk about it.
Yeah. No.
You want me to give you? You want me to give you? You think about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about why he's here, right? Because
All right.
Sprint is giving away 2 tickets to the 2015 NBA All-Star Game at the Garden. You can register for tickets at any New York area Sprint store right now through Saturday, and the winner is going to be notified on Sunday. So Rick Fox is here, obviously, because you're working with Sprint.
Yeah. Well, NBA and Sprint have a great relationship, and especially during All-Star Weekend, they sponsor All-Star Weekend in a huge capacity. So they're trying to turn it out for a couple Valentine's weekend. So if you're a fan, go out there, check it at the store, sign up, and if you get crazy with it and you realize that you might be spending too much money on your phone bill and you want to chop it in half like those
Sprint got
commercials,
you.
the Sprint, that's what they're doing.
Now, Sprint
I'm trying to get
should.
them to. I'm trying to get them to chop the Knicks lost column record in half
They
too.
can't do that.
They can't do that. You sure,
There's
man?
not technology for that.
No, no.
I think Sprint, if they were smart, they would get Rick Fox on a camera, on commercial, and you would say, "Listen, I fell in love at NBA All-Star several times.
Several times.
Go to a Sprint store near you, and you too possibly may fall in
That's
love
right.
at the NBA All-Star Game."
My last game.
Pretty
and,
good.
It's pretty good. You like that? Sprint, cut me that check.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or maybe they can just do some sort of thing where every new beautiful woman who signs up, Rick Fox will personally come to your house and bang you.
No, my, that's next level.
That's the next thing that they can
He
do.
didn't say no.
He didn't say no. Of course he didn't. He's an animal. He's out here for All-Star Weekend looking for his next wife.
You brought up a wife, man. I think about that sometimes. I'm 45.
Would
Okay.
you get
Yeah,
married
would you
again?
get married again?
I definitely would know how to do it this time around.
So now you found the balance that you were
Yeah, I
talking
definitely have a balance that I didn't have the first time
about.
around.
Are you dating anyone right now?
No, I'm accused of dating someone, but I'm not.
Who are they
dating.
accusing you of dating?
Ooh.
You can't be seen with anyone that you might work with in Hollywood in any kind of project.
No,
without them
you
attaching
can't be
you.
seen with a woman.
That's you, bro.
And look, it's just bigger problems. Some of these women are. I should be so lucky
Right.
to be hanging out with them. But they when the door gets cracked open and I get a foot in sometimes.
See, I don't understand that because Rick Fox takes one picture with one woman. People start thinking they're banging. I can hang out with a beautiful woman weeks on end.
You can hang out
Not
with
a
people who
chance.
have sex for a living, porn stars.
Which
and
he
people
does.
still think they're not having sex.
Which he
No
does.
one suggests it.
Which he
How many
does.
pictures are there of me and Amber together? No one's ever said, well, what about that? Never happened.
You and Gianna Michaels.
There was just one last night at his basketball game.
Lisa Ann.
That girl too.
Yeah, now.
Nobody thinks
Nah.
you're having sex with them.
No. It's very strange.
We know what's going on though. Right?
Exactly, Rick.
Nothing.
Talk about
That's
it.
what's going on.
I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. Are you going to be at All-Star Saturday?
Yeah.
Stay away
Yeah,
from my wife.
uh,
I'm not bringing my wife near Rick Fox on Saturday.
Who's more dangerous? And they both have some
I
Toronto
hear you
ties.
going with this. I
They
know.
both have
I've
Toronto
heard of this,
ties.
man.
Drake
Drizzy.
or Rick Fox?
Together?
So here's my story, all right?
Okay.
Oh my God.
So,
His DMs.
We'll get there. Hold on.
Okay,
What's
okay,
the story?
Sorry.
I was doing something somewhere, and every once in a while you come out after not being on Twitter for a day or two, right? And I happened to pop up and I saw someone say, "Don't leave your girl around Drake and Rick," or something like one of those things, right? I didn't know what was going on. I was like, so I quoted, I said, "There's real talk," right? What I didn't know was it was this whole thing with Drake and Chris, and I had missed that whole lead up.
And you co-signed the whole thing.
I co-signed something that I wasn't privy to, and I had to like go back and stay out of the middle of that situation.
But you didn't retract your statement.
I guess yeah.
It is real talk. It is. Don't worry, I won't.
But we talk about the maturity level.
Okay.
15 years ago, that would have been a different story.
So you first of all, you played for the great Dean Smith, as he brought up.
Yeah, man.
And we just lost him. Talk a little bit about.
I love that you said we.
So I mean, he's one of the best to ever do it. I'm a Maryland guy, and I love Dean Smith. So talk about playing for that guy.
Yeah, for me it was I got the inside look at the basketball side of playing at Carolina and Dean Smith and having him as a mentor and a teacher. But I like that people now that his life is being shared beyond the court, or having connections and stories are coming out that really tell the essence of the man and how special he was and how he made people feel special. And he wasn't just a basketball coach; he was a life coach for anyone that came across him. And I try to share a simple story of someone that walked up to me that went to Carolina, not at the same time, but he was just a bellman at the Carolina Inn where we'd have pregame meal, and Coach Smith probably walked by him 150 times, and 25 years later, he ran into Coach Smith just to say, "Hello, do you remember me?" And he knew the guy's name, what he was studying in college, wanted to know if he ended up getting the job. He remembered everything about this guy, and that's an example of how how much of his life was spent connecting with human beings and caring for human beings and having sincere interest in them. And so very rarely do you have someone like that in your life. I happen to get that in a coach, in a college coach, who treated me like a father, like a son, his son, and had great patience with me, because I wasn't the easiest college kid. I had a lot of interest in college, man, and getting an education was one, but it was like third on the list. It was socializing and getting to the NBA.
Yeah, there would be black girls, white girls, Spanish girls, Asian
girls.
So
I had a lot of distractions. And he always said, play smart, play together, and play smart. And I wasn't always the smartest kid in college. I didn't always play smart, but yet he was patient. And when we joke about the relationships I've had, like I said, I know now I can't fix people, but if you weren't broken, I didn't want to mess with you. And so I used to try and fix my relationships, the women in my relationships. And so Coach Smith knew every single one of them. He'd always, when I'd see him, he'd always go, "How's so-and-so doing?" I said, "Coach, I'm not with her anymore. I'm with so-and-so." And he'd always go, "Wow, boy, you turn that ball over a lot, don't you?" I go, "Yeah, I used to turn it over on the court, Coach, and I turn it over in real life too." He said, "If you ever get that straightened out." And he was rooting for me to be in a relationship where I could actually, have a successful relationship. And I think I'm getting closer and closer to doing that. But I now no longer think I'm not part of the problem.
You realize that you are.
Sense. I know I bring something to the equation when it comes to things not going right all the time. And from day to day, I got to own up to my shit.
Do you?
Can you say shit on
Yeah, fine.
Well, it already happened.
You did.
Sir.
Did you stay in touch with Coach Smith on a semi-regular basis?
Yeah. Well, he was always reaching out, so you could never, if you were trying to compete with him communication-wise, you were going to lose. He was always reaching out to you.
What does that mean? How often would you hear from him?
Oh, he'd send a note. He'd send a book. He'd call you. I'd see him in person. When you least expect it, he'd pop up and be at a game somewhere. So it never went more than 3-4 months before you saw him again or heard from him. Last time I saw him, I played golf with him, and he actually, I was going through my bookshelf at home, kind of getting rid of some of my books, and I almost threw out this golf. I came across this golf book, and I was like, man, I don't need to be reading no golf book, because that's only going to mess my swing up more. And I right before I put it in the box to give away, I opened up the front, and I saw this like full page written note from Coach Smith,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just telling me how proud he was of me, and how he, thought this book would be good for my game because he knew I was struggling, but I wanted to get better at it. So he was still, he's still teaching me and supporting me in life, and even I remember in that note he even pointed out my acting career, and I was like, you got to be really, really supportive to watch some of my early work as an actor. So I was like, my man is even hanging in there with that stuff.
Well, he's been retired for a while, so.
I was like, that's pretty cool, Coach. But yeah, that's he really stayed in touch with his players, and that's why you see the response from all of us and how authentic it is because he was the man. People wondered if he truly was to create that kind of bond between players at North Carolina.
You graduated in like what, 88?
91 from Carolina.
Oh, 91?
From 87 to 91.
Okay, 91.
Yeah.
And then you go to
drafted by the Celtics.
You get drafted to my squad, the
First
Celtics.
round.
Yes. And when we're talking about 91 Celtics, you're talking about Larry still there.
Yeah.
You're talking about Reggie Lewis, Kevin Gamble, Brian Shaw.
Yeah, man.
This
You
is
know
the team that we had there. And not the most a rough. It's sort of a rough patch for the Celtics. You're 5 years after Len Bias has passed away, and Larry's hurt quite a bit.
His back's all jacked up. Yeah.
First of all, what's it like as an NBA player in that time, coming out of the '80s, to be drafted to the Boston Celtics? I mean, that's got to be overwhelming.
Yeah, the Celtics and the Lakers were the two teams I grew up watching when basketball entered my life, and they went at it for the '80s, man. It was back and forth. And to be drafted by the Celtics, in my mind immediately, I'm thinking, I'm gonna get a championship, and because they win championships. And Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, the last year of the Big Three, I was their rookie. So to watch them, work as professionals gave me kind of a blueprint of how it's supposed to get done. And even from the first preseason game where I was in the layup line, and I'm happy, I'm smiling from ear to ear, I'm in the NBA, and I'm going through the layup line smiling, and Larry Bird was like, "What are you smiling for?" And I was like, "What? What I do wrong?"
I'm happy.
You're happy to be here.
in the NBA.
So you need to focus. And from that day forth, man, I didn't miss a lay. I don't think I missed a layup in a warm-up line before a game, and I didn't smile very much in the NBA because it was just always about being professional and always about going about your job. And I could have gone a lot of different directions in my career, but I think playing with those guys to begin with kind of gave me a foundation.
What did he continue to be like, Larry? I mean, I don't know if I've ever talked to anyone who played with Larry Bird. I mean, that's what was he like as a teammate?
He was intense. He was always, when I played with him that year, always trying to get himself on the court in a healthy way, but his back was.
This is when this is when he's laying on the floor. Man. He's in traction half the time.
And and for me, it was kind of like, man, I heard about Larry Bird and I watched him, and I know he was really good, but I'm not seeing the Larry Bird. And then in March 17th, the Portland game,
when he comes back in the second half on a Sunday afternoon,
he went for 49, 17, and like 14 assists.
It was 49-14. It was 49-14-11.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
That game was amazing.
That was incredible, and that I'll never forget that being in that game playing, but also watching and realizing, okay, now this is what everyone, when they talk about Larry Bird being a bad mofo, that this is who this guy is, and he used to do that on the regular. He just only could get it up once in a while for the Celtics his last year.
And then you're one of the only guys who spent half your career with the Boston Celtics, the other half with the Lakers.
Now you're getting focused.
Now you're getting the part you like. You get out to Los.
I'm letting you live.
What year did you stay in Boston till?
Till 97.
All right, I got to ask you one more sad thing then. So overlooked is the end of Reggie Lewis.
Yeah, man.
He passes away in 1995 at Brandeis at the practice facility.
I go deep, man. Reggie called me 20 minutes before he passed away.
Yo.
Wow.
What do you mean?
I was at Jordan's Furniture with my girl getting some furniture from my place. We just moved in, and he was going through all the tests because he collapsed in the playoffs in the Charlotte series, and he wasn't allowed to do anything. And finally, back in August, he got the clearance, and I was in town, and he hit my phone, and I was at Jordan's Furniture, and he's like, "Hey, yo, Rick, I'm getting ready to go down to Brandeis get some jumpers up." I was like, "Oh, you got clearance?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to come down and shoot with me?" I said, "Yo, man, I'll be right there. I'm way out. Let me just get out of here, and I'll be over." By the time I got to my condo in Newton, the TV was on. We left the TV on from the morning, and there was this reporter on the air saying that he just collapsed. And I raced over to the hospital, which was right next to the Brandeis University. And when I got there, ML Carr was there, and it was just me and him, and they had cut him open. They were still working on him. and he passed away, and that just rocked me, man. That rocked me, because I just talked to him. I just talked to him.
And he was like 27 years old or something.
He was a great guy too, man. He was. If you knew him, if you watched him, you knew he was an incredible player. He had it all in front of him, but he was an amazing person, man.
Do you feel that he was, he had just become an all-star, and it felt like he was going to be...
Oh, he used to have battles with Mike, man. They used to go at it. He dropped 38, 40. He was nothing, man. He was smooth, effortless. But, I was in high school when Len Bias passed away. And so that hit the Celtics hard. And then when Reggie passed away, it just seemed like it for a stretch there. They just
couldn't catch any luck.
Couldn't catch any breaks.
Then you go off to L.A.
Yeah.
And 97, Kobe already there? Kobe drafted 97?
Yeah, Kobe was there in 96, 1 year before me. Him and Shaq were there together.
So you get there, and now you have the Shaq and Kobe experience.
Yeah.
And Phil.
Yeah.
What the hell is this experience like?
It's championships, man. Phil came in there.
Shut up, B, bro.
Phil rolled in there with the blueprint. He was fresh off of the Chicago run. 6 of those with Jordan and Pippen and Rodman and Horace. I know you guys have talked to Horace. And we were ready. We'd gotten beat down by the San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz for a couple years. We had some talented squads: Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, Eldon Campbell. We were doing it. We were young and up and coming, but we didn't know how to win. And Phil just came in and set us on the right course, and then we just went to work, man. And once we started winning, we started gaining confidence, and we had a nice little stretch there, man.
You transitioned your game during that time too. Like you changed to a defensive.
Yeah.
Like that was your focus. Getting in people's faces, stirring it up, fighting. Like you were the shit starter.
Yeah, I had to be. It's kind of how I got on the floor. In Boston, I scored. I was the leading scorer in Boston from captain there, and I took a lot of shots. So it was I was right on the cusp of starting to become an all-star, and then went to L.A. to win championships. And when I got there, it was very clear that I knew I would play a role in things. But Shaq and Kobe were going to take all the shots, and in our system, Ron Harper, myself, Robert Horry, AC Green at the time, we were the supporting cast members. If you look at the Bulls, Jordan and Pippen were doing all the work, and then Horace and Steve Kerr and B.J. Armstrong, those guys were like kind of the support. That's how that system worked. So your statistics dipped. You didn't look like you were the gangbuster you were early on in your career, but you won championships. So to get on the floor for me defensively, I would lock people up, and then we couldn't have Shaq and Kobe throwing bows. So I was a guy that would mix it up.
Use some fouls.
If there was someone to go after and shake it up a little bit, I came from the islands, so I come from the Bahamas. I grew up getting into it, so. The pretty boy look sometimes will confuse some people, but
that was a part of the mental game. Like Phil Jackson,
100%
was okay.
Yeah,
and the NBA was even kind of okay
back
with
in the
that.
day, man.
That part of the game, right? That's gone from the game. Where the physicality portion was how you took someone off of their focus.
100%.
And if it ended up turning into a skirmish,
so be it.
Right,
yeah.
But now that's gone from the game.
It's gone. The era of the '90s and mid 2000s. Yeah, you didn't have to just play basketball. You had to stand up, and if someone tested you, you only go one or two ways. You either step up to it, or you lost your edge. And we, I was constantly finding out if someone was going to step up,
right.
And I respected that. If I gave you a shot in the chest or in the lower back, if I started in the first quarter, for me it was always I'm gonna beat you up in the first quarter, and you're either gonna go away, or we're just gonna wrestle for 48 hours, and 48 minutes, and I was okay with that. I respected someone that would throw one back.
Who was there anyone who you always got into with, and you knew when y'all were coming out to see each other it was gonna be like that?
Yeah, and Utah was Matt Harping. From Georgia Tech.
Really?
That kid, yeah, he would give it. He would get into it. Rodman would get into it, and then I ended up playing with him. Dennis would get into it. I used to wrestle with Chuck, man, Charles Barkley, man, because he was physical. Xavier McDaniel. That was X-Man. But X-Man would leave a mark. he had fingernails, and he never cut them. Like, and so when he shoot the ball, you hear fingernails go off the ball, but he would also grab you, like, and to post up, he would grab you and pull you out of the way. But and I played with him in Boston for it.
Yeah.
But before then, I used to have to guard him, and man, I'd leave the game bloody, scratched up, and that was how he played, man.
What was the best season? What was the most? Is there one particular season that you've considered the most magical? Because you had a hell of a run there.
2001 was our best year, I think.
This is when Kobe is now in full Kobe mode.
Yeah, he was.
Did he know how to lead at that point?
No, he was assassin. That's all he.
He was just a hired gun. He
was just put him on the floor, wind him up, and let him go. That's all he was trying.
And
was
Shaq leading that team on the floor? Was it really Phil leading the whole thing?
You know what it was? It was Ron Harper. It was Brian Shaw, Derek Fisher, Robert Horry. It was more the support crew. We supported Shaq and Kobe. They were, I was a third. It was Shaq, Kobe, and myself. We were the captains. But at the end of the day, we each led in different ways. Shaq kept it light, kept us, he still drove a hard bargain with his teammates. You had to bring it because he was nasty. Shaq is a big, lovable guy, but when he stepped on the floor, he was nasty. And Kobe just, he was just like you said. He sent him out ahead. He'd take people out, and then the rest of us, though, we kind of drove. We kept things. We supported them and kept things in order.
How much truth to the stories that we hear with regard to the unraveling of Kobe's ego, Shaq's ego, and all that? How much truth in those stories, from your point of view?
My dad. The smoke, there's fire, and I'd like to think we got along or could have gotten along like you see the San Antonio Spurs and you see these teams that that seem like they really enjoy each other. We were all pretty good at what we did, but we were all alpha dogs. Like, we had too many alphas, and so no one was checking that at the door. Like, so we pushed each other more probably than any opponent would push us.
Got it.
And
which made you great in some aspects.
Yeah.
But also explosive on the other side.
We were every day, but when I look back on it, I miss that. Like, I miss that. I like being on a team where I look across and that cat's looking at me like, yo, you better bring it today. And the practices are just as hard as the games, if not harder, because the guy across from you is Kobe, and that guy. And if you don't show up, he's gonna talk shit the rest of the day.
I mean, good thing y'all didn't have social media back then.
Yeah,
we talked to Horace Grant about that too.
We wouldn't survive now.
Yeah, no, it'd be bad. Hey, Ebro, I've just been told that Rick Fox has his own radio show he has to do in 15 minutes. So I know.
Oh, we got time.
You can't broadcast from here.
We got time. We got 5 more. We could.
I'm curious. Was Kobe liked on that team, or was he simply respected on that team? But people weren't trying to hang out with Kobe.
Well, Kobe wasn't trying to hang out with anybody.
more importantly,
he had a job. He had a job to do. Like, really, he
Kobe,
was on
as a kid, Kobe was that focused.
Oh yeah.
He came in. I'm here to get chips.
Yeah.
Try to be Michael Jordan to my best response, to the best I could be, and that's it.
Yeah. He was on the course, man. And any minute or day wasted doing something else was going to slow him down from getting to that point.
And that screwed up the interpersonal relationships, I'm sure, a little bit, right?
It did, only because there is an element of group dynamics where, like, I drank beers and smoked cigars and played cards after games on the plane. Like, people may not want to hear that, but that's what we did.
Of course.
I came from that era. Players don't do that anymore, really. They may play cards and stuff, but, Ron Harper would roll on the plane with a six-pack, and we sat and talked about the game, played cards, and Kobe would sit across from us, and he would always look at us as like
derelicts.
Almost like disgusted by us.
Grow up.
But we had 12 years in the league, and we knew we were raised by the next generation before us,
and they was doing more than six packs.
Larry Bird rolled in the locker room after the game. He would get up on the training table before he cut his tape. He drank a couple beers, Right. So that was our generation, and so. We used to say to Kobe, one day you're gonna be over here with us. You're gonna understand that this is a valuable part of what us as a group. And I'll never forget, we got about we got a third championship, 4th year, man, training camp. We were rolling to go to Hawaii. We rolled on the plane. Kobe had a cigar in his hand. It looked like he just came from the bar. I was like, yo, dude, you just jumped in off the cliff full-fledged, huh? And but it was he was married at that point, and I think
that'll get you drinking.
Yeah.
Have a cigar.
Gotta have a vice.
So but he grew up a little bit and started enjoying some of the finer things in life. And
Do you think he suffer from? I hear a lot in sports.
Wait, real quick, Laura Styles, wake up! I know you hate basketball.
I do,
talk.
but I'm actually it's actually
All right.
pretty
Is that
interesting.
interesting?
Yeah,
Just
yeah, I'm
checking,
into it.
just
Yeah, I
checking.
don't know anything about basketball, but I
we
find
should
it
talk.
really
We
interesting.
should talk, like you said, the game or single ladies.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but continue.
I thought
I know. You saw it.
What?
We should talk
You saw
about.
it. You saw it.
We should talk about the
Listen,
game.
when we
Single
started,
ladies.
Rick, when we started the
He
interview,
just
I'm
had
like,
sex with her mind right in front of him.
Damn, mind sex.
Please
He
stop.
he just had sex with you. We saw it.
Are you pregnant, Laura? Baby Rick's coming.
are you pregnant? Shut up.
Do you? You hear a lot about athletes. You hear a lot about athletes. This is like a story that comes around a lot, and I always find it very weird and sort of interesting, sort of stupid at the same time. There'll be athletes who people on teams who other players will feel isn't black enough or isn't one of the brothers on the team. Yeah. Did Kobe suffer from that as a result of being an international kid and not an American black kid who grew up with that experience?
So yeah, a little bit. Now, I dealt with that to a degree.
Because I'm about to say, because you weren't American either.
Yeah, I dealt.
And you light skin, you ain't black enough.
Right, all of that.
All
but
that.
here's what's
You got
funny.
pretty
Here's
teeth
what's funny
and
though. Here's the funny part of that. So I got the I'm of the era of the Halle Berry, Mariah Carey, Derek Jeter. We came on the scene, all us mixed babies. And my mom was a white woman from Canada. My dad's a black man from the Bahamas. And so, my teammates could never connect all the time. They weren't sure, you black enough or you all this stuff. And so I used to always get a kick out of my dad showing up, who's blacker than these microphones. and I always watch my teammates go, oh, okay. Yo, all right. You okay. You all right. That's cool. And I used to laugh because it was just, that's my life. I grew up and was raised by, a family of black men and women but yet, just when you're light skinned, they want to question you. So, and then my coaches, like Phil Jackson, my mom would roll up and he was like, oh, Mrs. Fox. It's like, so, people connect with what they know. But Kobe, unfortunately, growing up in Italy, for him, he was Italian and cultured, and people, in his formative years, he connected to that, that culture of Italy, and so my mom's Italian, so that's how Kobe and I. That's why we always had a mutual respect. I could appreciate his history of being in Italy, and I could talk to him about it, and
pants too
my
tight.
mom, all that,
Small
all that,
suits.
yeah, right, yeah.
Small suits.
Yeah, I went through an era. I went through an era of that stuff too myself, but I try and explore the European cut, but I'm not built for that, man.
But you and Kobe every once in a while go eat a delicious plate of pasta and have a glass of red wine.
Yeah, try that kind of stuff.
Try to bond a little bit over the Italian background.
For real, that real talk, yeah.
I believe it.
You guys, Rick Fox is here. Yo, it's been a great combo. Before we let you go,
yeah.
Laura Styles.
What?
You watch the? I
Don't
don't watch
put
the
me on
show.
the spot.
I don't watch
God.
Lifetime. I'm not watching a Lifetime movie with Rick Fox.
I
I'm
do
sorry.
want to know about your
No,
current
blame.
projects. But listen, I watch Single Ladies. I love that show. Not the best storylines. Who cares? Clearly, we watch Single Ladies because they have amazing men, and the women are gorgeous. But it also shows like the game. Now, how does that work? Like, does your agent be like, this is perfect for you, or do you know, like, I need to be on that show?
The actual Single Ladies came off of my time spent on the game, and then that spun into Hit the Floor. So I'm on the Hit the Floor show,
Right.
that came out of the same executive producers. So I just happened to, they searched me out. They knew there was a certain audience that I connected to.
A certain audience.
People, here's the thing. We made a chart here, Rick. It's a Venn diagram. Here we have people, and here we have people with vaginas. You do really well right here.
So I got a chance to hang out with Lisa Ray and the ladies of Single Ladies, and that was a good time.
And what's
that?
You mentioned that you're working on you have a Lifetime
Yeah,
project?
so you guys know Kimberly Elise? You know who she is?
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
Kimberly's a genius, and Loretta Devine, Harry
Yes.
Lennox.
Yes.
This kid Denzel Whitaker that was in The Great Debaters. We shot a movie in South Africa this past summer, and it comes out Saturday night on Lifetime. It's their Valentine's Day. So I fall in love with Kimberly Elise.
Now, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now.
Lifetime is running into some issues here recently with some of their productions. Your production, I'm sure, is going to be one of the better ones.
Yeah, this is.
It's not about Aaliyah or anything.
No, we're not doing a biopic. This is just about a
nice
woman
movie.
who goes back to school at a later age in her life and ends up connecting with the son she gave up for adoption.
You know what I realized Rick Fox is, hero? You know what this guy?
Who?
Dexter St. Jock. In the Bahamas, walking up on the beach.
Your girl walking down the beach single crying. What you crying
What
about?
you crying about, girl? That's you. You're Dexter St. Jock, bro.
And here comes Dexter St. Jock swinging his dick. What you crying about, girl? Yo, Rick, it's been a great talk, bro. Yo, and big up Sprint, man, for bringing you by. Once again, that program, they're giving away 2 tickets to the 2015 NBA All-Star Game at the Garden this Sunday. Register at any Sprint store now, and then Sunday they're going to pick a winner. So, or they're going to call you on
We'll
Sunday.
call you on
pick
Sunday
a winner
morning,
on Saturday.
and then if you want to go by the store and chop up your bill in half.
You out here paying? You out here
man.
paying phone bills? I know you got a couple of girls. You paying a couple of phone bills. You still get some good checks, bro.
You know, I got a friend who that's his thing. Yeah.
Paying phone bills?
He got
It's the worst deal I've ever heard of in my life.
Phone bills.
I mean, there's dudes out here. Listen, man, you got a chick. She's not. He said he likes to fix girls. That was his problem.
It used to be my thing.
Which means he was finding girls they didn't have much.
It's true.
They needed some direction and some leadership.
Yeah.
Had. Let me stop.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what?
I'm only gonna dig myself a hole.